A friend of mine worked at Google in California for about 12 years. Strong salary, RSUs, very disciplined investor. So when he decided to move back to India, he ran the standard math. He needed about 2 lakh rupees per month to live comfortably in India. So using the 4% rule, he calculated his retirement corpus. On paper, he was financially independent. So he moved. The first year felt fine. Second year, markets were normal, not even a crash. And this is when he realized something uncomfortable. The same portfolio that comfortably supported him in US projections started feeling uncomfortable in Indian reality. Not because he overspent, not because he made bad investments, but because the formula he used assumed US inflation, US asset allocation, and US retirement behavior. Same person, same discipline, same withdrawal rate, different country, and that changed the required corpus dramatically. So the question is, how much does an NRI actually need to retire in India? Let me show you the exact calculations. All right, now let's assume you are a 35-year-old and you are working in the US right now or earning in dollars, and you want to move back to India. And when you move back to India, you want to be 45 years and you want to retire in India, right? Your life expectancy is 85. Let's plan it till then. Since you have been working in the US for a few years, you have some savings, say around $100,000 savings or investments, $100,000, which will come to 90 lakh rupees. That's what we'll put here. Okay, so now since you are still here in the US, you are working, we will assume maybe you will be putting in 100,000 rupees, I was going to say 1 lakh rupees in investment. I mean, see, you are working in the US and we want to retire in India, so we'll have to pick a currency. So you will be investing 1 lakh rupees per month. That's what we are expecting, because you want to achieve financial independence, right? You will have to start investing. So that's what we are assuming right now. And now this is interesting. Pay attention. Monthly retirement spending in today's money. So when you go back to India, what will be your expenses? And we will assume around 2 lakh rupees. So as you are seeing, I'm entering the number. This thing changed to not yet financially independent. So once the plan calculates that you're financially independent, it will show up here. And if the plan thinks you are not there yet, it will show up in red, and I will explain it a little later. Now assume you need 2 lakh rupees per month to live comfortably in India. So before we go deeper into this retirement calculations, there is one practical layer people overlook. When you move back and start funding your India lifestyle, you're going to transfer meaningful amount of dollars across borders. And when the amounts are large, even small difference in forex spread and fees starts to matter. 1% on a large transfer is not small. It can quietly cost you lakhs over time. Personally, I use Crobo for my own money transfers. There are no transfer fees at all, which matters when you are moving meaningful amounts. And what I look at is the effective exchange rate, not just the headline number. In my experience, their rates have been very competitive and the transfers have been fast and smooth. If you are in that phase, you can certainly check them out using the link below. They're currently offering $25 gift card for transfers above $500 through that special link. For this Holi, they are offering more than Google rates. Now, as we assume, you need around 2 lakh rupees per month in India, right? The real question is, how will that corpus behave once you land in India? Because the moment you move, 3 structural things change. Your tax status change, your withdrawal strategy change, and your asset allocation framework must change. All right, now let's talk about the investment plan and what all these fields are. So this is your plan when you are in the US, you are still working. As you guys know, I am an ETF and mutual fund guy. I don't want to pick 10, 15 ETFs and 5, 10 different stocks in my portfolio. I would love to just stick to 3, 4 ETFs, and that's what I'm choosing here. So what I would want is, when you are working in the US, I would keep some amount in fixed returns. Now, what are fixed returns? Fixed returns is CDs, high yield savings account, money market, brokerage account, where my money can sit safely without any risk. I'm assuming the tax rate of around 30% because it is not taxed as long-term capital gains like 10-15%. It is taxed as in whatever tax bracket you are in, that's where it gets taxed. And I would allocate 5% of my entire portfolio to this, because this is practically my emergency fund. I am not looking at this as an investment. I'm looking at this as a safe place to park my money. Second one I have chosen is foundational ETF. So foundational ETF is something like ETF which has exposure to broader US markets, or something like total US stock market or S&P 500. So that's what that foundational ETF is. Next one, no, let's go a little more into it. So expected return for S&P 500 has been around 10% for 100 years. So I'm assuming 10% here. Assume tax rate for long-term capital gain is 15%. That's what we are assuming for all three. Next one is allocations, and I will put 30% of my portfolio there. Next one is stability. I need stability. I need a dividend producing asset, and something like SCHD, which produces dividends. And over the last 10 years, I think it has given a return of around 11%. Same tax rate, and I would put 30% there as well. So guys, none of this is financial advice, none of this is tax advice. We are just taking few ETFs and mutual funds so that we can run this model, okay? And the next one is growth. We know we are entering the AI era. We want some exposure to AI, some exposure to something like NASDAQ, some exposure to IT or semiconductor sector, something like VUG, So since I'm young, I can take a little bit of more risk. So I will put 35% of my money to this, and again, the same. And yeah, the expected return has been better for this class, which is around 15%. So I'm assuming that. So finally, the allocation is 100% right here. The weighted average tax for this bucket when you are in the US is 15.8%, and the average return is 11.7%, right? All right. Next, move on to next one. Annual contribution increase. I would assume if you are getting a hike of 3%, 4%, 5%, you should increase your investment as per that percentage. So I'm assuming a 3% here. We already know when you are moving to India, you will need 2 lakh rupees per month. So we are putting that number right here. Most NRIs only calculate the numbers, but very few model the transition. This is actually why inside my NRI return blueprint, I dedicated an entire section to what I call the transition timeline. The first few years after you return are extremely sensitive. How you structure your withdrawals, how you handle your US brokerage account, what do you do with your 401ks, your IRAs, how dividends withholding work, whether you sell, hold, or restructure your assets. All of that directly affects your retirement sustainability. But for now, let's only focus on the math. All right, now let's talk about when you move to India, what happens. During your, as we already kind of covered, during your working phase, you are little aggressive in terms of your allocation. But when you move to India, your allocation needs to be little on the safer side, less towards growth, more towards safety. Now you will ask, okay, you mention all these US ETFs, what happens here? So you can go to the NRI return blueprint of what I would actually do. But for here, I would say I will get my US money and put it in Indian market now, because I have moved back to India. I have my money with me. I'm not changing names here. You can change if you want. But what I would do is in fixed returns, again, which is FD now in India. So I will put around 30% in FDs. And in India, as you know, you get better returns. So I have assumed 7% expected return here, and the tax rate is around 30%. What would I do with these three? Well, I will again be conservative. I will just go with the blue chip ETF. I will go with that will be the first one. The next one will be the mid cap ETF, and the third one will be small cap. So as you know, India market gives a little better return. So for blue chip, I'm expecting 12% return. Tax rate is little higher there. So I'm expecting 20% tax rate, and I would allocate 50% to blue chip. Yes, we are playing safe here. Next one is stability, which is mid cap. Again, 20% there, and I wouldn't put anything in small caps because it will be extremely risky when I'm retired, when I'm not earning. So with that said, the average tax in India would be 23%, and the average return would be 11.1%. Now, let's get to the plan. With all the entered information, it shows, okay, you started at 35, your starting balance is 90 lakh rupees because that's what you saved. On top of this 90 lakh, you're also putting in around 1 lakh rupees per month. So that is 12 lakh rupees. So at annual contribution is 12 lakh rupees. So 12 plus 90 lakh, whatever it is, with whatever average return we are expecting, that amount will be this when you are 35. When you turn 36, this amount, ending balance, comes right here, right? And then you add again 12 lakh rupees on top of that, and then with your average return of 11.7%, this number is calculated. So it keeps going. This is your, as you understand, this is your accumulation phase. All right, so let's come down, and when you turn 44, your corpus will be around 5 crore rupees, right? All right, here we have assumed inflation of 6%, because in US inflation is 3%, in India it is around 6%. So that's what we are assuming here. With 6% inflation, you remember you needed 2 lakh rupees per month, that is 24 lakh rupees. So 24 lakh rupees per year is in today's money, today's rupees. But 10 years from now, that 24 with 6% inflation, it becomes 42, what is it, 42, close to 43 lakh rupees. So that's what this inflation is doing. So now at the age of 45, when you are in India now, out of 5 crores, 43 lakh is gone, and then you have 5.1 crore left, right? And it keeps going like that. Every year this amount will be deducted, and it keeps going. This is your retirement phase, and if you go that way, you will run out of money. So whenever this column sees you'll run out of money, that's when this thing is changing, right? If you say instead of 90 lakh, if you have had more, this will turn into financial independence, right? So that's how this calculator works. All right, let's go back to, we don't have that much money, so we will go back to what we had. All right, so what I was trying to say is, here you are running out of money. So what can you do? Before we do that, there are more things to this calculator. Here you can add, please do not touch this part, this column at all. Only you can touch is edit blue cells only, so you can only touch blue things. Of course you can change names here, but numbers, please don't play with it. The formulas can get broken, and if you end up breaking it, and if you cannot fix it, you'll have to re-download it from my source. So right now your plan is not working for you, but before we fix it, we have other things to worry about. Since you're 35, your kid is maybe 5-6 year old, he will go to college, right? Say at the age of, when you turn 46, 47, say for example, their college tuition fees right now is 2 lakh rupees per year, but you don't know with inflation adjusted how much that is going to be in 10 years, right? So for that we have this column, just for simplicity. So in 10 years, your 2 lakh rupees would be worth 3,58,000, right? So you can copy that and say, okay, by the age of 46, when I am 46, my kid is going to go to college, paste as value only, and you'll have to do the same thing. That's a 4-year degree. And if you are going to India, you don't have house there, you are planning to rent out, because that's what my NRI blueprint suggests, and that's what I suggest. So you're renting it out, but after going back, you are going to buy a house worth maybe 3 crore rupees or 2 crore rupees. I don't know. I'll just put 2 crore here. I always get confused with the zeros and the rupees and the dollars. I think this is right. So you are buying 2 crore rupees house, you have kids education, then you can add anything more if you want. So this is kind of looking realistic now. If he continues like this, he will run out of money at the age of 55. So something is not right. So we need to fix it. Either, what can we fix? All right, ask this guy to not work till 45, instead work till the age of 50. It might change few things, right? Let's see what happens. Well, instead of 55, now he is running out of money at the age of 66. So even that is not enough. What can we do? Of course, what you can do is, here you can get a little more aggressive, right? Maybe I will just do 40% here. I don't think that's going to change much. And maybe I don't want to touch here. So what happens with that? Even with that 66. So I'm assuming the bigger problem is at the age of, well, what you can do is, dude, you're earning in dollars, right? So instead of 1 lakh, Can you go a little more, right? Instead of 1 lakh, let's go 1.5 lakh. With 1.5 lakh, it has changed suddenly, and now you can retire. This can last you till the age of 81. Not too bad, right? Or you have other option. If you don't want to go that way, you can say, hey, by the age of 35, I don't have only $100,000, I have $200,000. So you can increase that thing here, right? So these are various ways how you can play around with this toy. Instead of annual contribution increase just to 3%, you can go 5%, 6%, whatever you want, right? That is another way of investing more. Or the last one is, if nothing works, what you can do is reduce your expenses from 2 lakh to 1.5. So this is a tool you can play around and see your number yourself. But you will ask, okay, what was my financial independence number? Scroll down a little bit. When are you retiring? You are retiring at the age of what? 50. So go to 50. And here, right here, whatever this number is, this is your financial independence number, 9.3 crores. The biggest risk in retirement is not market volatility. It is planning with incomplete assumptions. But if you're planning to move back to India and want to go beyond the math into tax timing, account restructuring, 401k decisions, IRA handling, dividend withholding, and transition sequencing, I have structured the complete framework inside this NRI return blueprint. Most people choose the bundle because calculations and the execution go together. Model first, then move. Let's make early retirement your reality too. Your finance friend Sushant, signing off.